Hello and welcome to episode 9 of my A to Z stitch series. This week is letter I and we're learning the iris stitch. This is a really pretty pattern and only uses double crochets and chains, so it's super beginner friendly. As always, we're going to spin this spinner and see what project we're making. We're making a pouch. Thank goodness it wasn't a bookmark. If you know, you know. Coming up next is the tutorial, and then at the end I'll give you some thoughts on the stitch itself and some project ideas for it. But let's get started. Begin by chaining any multiple of 4 plus 3 at the end for our turning chain. My multiple of 4 that I'm chaining is 24 plus 3 more at the end, so I'm doing a total of 27. First, we want to flip our chain over so that we're looking at the back because we're going to work our stitches into these back bumps. We're going to work 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, all into the 5th chain from our hook. So yarn over and then count the chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Insert your hook into the 5th and make a double crochet. So pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through the first 2. Yarn over and pull through the last 2. Work another double crochet into the same chain. And now chain 1. And then work 2 more double crochets into this chain. Awesome, and that was our first iris. I don't know if they're actually called irises, but that's what we're going to call them. So let's make our next one. Now skip 3 chains and work another iris into the 4th chain. So we're making our 2 double crochets. Then chain 1 and make 2 more double crochets. So easy. So continue down the row, skipping 3 chains and working your iris into the 4th one. And you're going to continue like that all the way across until the end where you'll have 2 stitches left. I'll show you another iris and then I'll meet you at the end. Awesome, first row almost complete. To finish it, all we're going to do is work a double crochet into the very last chain. So easy, I love this stitch so much already. Let's start doing row 2. Begin by chaining 3. And then turn your work. And now all we're going to do is work irises into the chain spaces of our previous irises. So work 2 double crochets into the very top center of our first iris. Chain 1 and then work 2 more double crochets into this space. And it's literally that easy. Work another iris into the next chain space and repeat that all the way to the end where we'll finish with the double crochet in the chain space. But keep going and that's where I'll meet you. Okie dokie, so like I said, all we're doing to finish this is working a double crochet into the chain space. Don't worry about inserting your hook into a specific chain, just insert it into the space and make a double crochet. And you're just going to repeat that row over and over again until you're happy with the size of yours. Chain 3, turn your work, then work irises into the top of our previous irises, ending with the double crochet in the final chain space. So easy. So keep going and then I'll meet you for the next step. Awesome, so I did 9 rows for mine. Once you're happy, then you can chain 1 and fasten off. And now we're going to seam it together on the sides and bottom. There really isn't a right or wrong side, so decide which side you want to be the wrong side and fold your pouch so that that side is on the outside, and make sure all of your edges are nice and lined up. We're going to start by attaching our yarn in the first chain space on the side. So just take your yarn and knot it a few times to attach. Now we want to cut a really long tail to seam it all together. You'll want it to be a little over a foot, close to 1.5 feet. I like to drape mine along where I'm going to be seaming a few times just to get a good rough estimate, and then add a couple extra inches just to be on the safe side. And then you can go ahead and cut it and thread your tapestry needle. And now insert your needle into that first chain space from the outside to the inside, moving the needle away from you, and pull yarn all the way through, and then insert it again in the same chain space, and then repeat that in the next space. Insert and pull through 2 times. And continue that all the way down the side, and I'll meet you at the bottom. Alrighty, so I'm making my 2 passes through this last space, and to make my way around the corner, all I'm going to do is insert my needle through here for a 3rd time. And now we're on the bottom. So insert your hook into the bottom center of the first irises and pull the yarn through. Do that 1 more time. And now we have this long chain space. We're going to insert our needle and pull through 3 times total. And then pull it through the next iris 2 times. 3 times in the next chain space. 2 times through the irises, and keep repeating that all the way to the end. Alrighty, and so our last chain space is kind of loose and floppy, right? So insert your needle through it, and then find a nearby stitch or loop that you can insert your needle and pull it through to basically close this edge. And now find a loop from our seaming and insert your needle, but don't pull it through all the way. Leave this nice little loop, and then just insert your needle and pull it tight to make a knot. Repeat that a few times until it feels nice and secure. We are so close. Let's make a drawstring for it now. Pop a slip knot on your hook and chain, chain, chain until you're happy with the length. You want it to be able to lay around the back, sides, and have a little bit hanging out in the front. I did chains for mine. And now I'm going to chain an extra 2 and then cut my yarn. I'm going to pull my tail to secure it, and as you can see, we've lost a chain on this side from doing that. Go to the beginning of the chain and pull that tail. And now we've lost a chain on that side, but it doesn't matter because we did our extra little 2 at the end, and now our ends are nice and secure. And now let's weave this through the pouch. I forgot to flip my pouch right side out before doing this, so do that real quick. You want all of your ends to be on the inside right now. We want our first end to be coming from the inside to the outside through the space between the irises. Perfect, just like that. And now we're going to weave around the side. We want it to go from the inside through the bottom of the next iris. And then go back to the inside through the bottom of the next one. Awesome, and that's the first side done. Now bring the chain back to the outside through the space between these irises. Now pull it back to the inside between this next space. Now repeat the side section the same way as before. Bring it to the outside through the middle of this iris, and then bring it back to the inside through the middle of the next one. And finally, pull the end through to the outside through this space between the irises. And now just make a bunch of knots at the end of your chain and cut the excess. And this isn't a necessary step, but I think it adds a little something to it. I just think it's cute. And repeat for your other chain. Okay, and now it's time to weave our ends. Flip it back inside out and weave your ends through the nearby stitches, going up, down, all around until they're hidden and secured. And that's it. Let's talk about the stitch itself now. Starting with easiness. This is such a gorgeous stitch, and it's made all the better by the fact that it truly is so gosh darn easy to make. This is the perfect stitch for beginners and advanced crocheters alike because it's super mindless. It's the perfect stitch to work on while watching TV or listening to a book, and it just looks really impressive. I don't know anyone who wouldn't think this is super adorable. Which leads to the next category, which is cuteness, which I think you know my opinion on already. It is so cute. This is definitely one of my favorite stitches I've learned so far through this series. So moving on from there, let's talk about projects that you can make with this. This would be so perfect for so many summery wearables like tops, bandanas, and honestly, I love this pouch. If this had a few more rows, I'd totally use this as a sleeve for my sunglasses. I also think this stitch would make such a gorgeous blanket. It's obviously a little lacy, so not the best stitch for anything that you want to be solid, like your everyday purse or like a hot pad, but it would work for a lot of things. And finally, would I reuse this or am I retiring it? Reuse all the way. I really like this. I think that this would look really pretty paired with other stitches, so I definitely have a few ideas rattling around in my brain already. And that was it. Thank you so much for joining me today, whether this was your first or you've been following along from the beginning. All of your support through this series has meant the world to me. If you want to help support my channel, then a like and a comment goes a long way, and don't forget to subscribe. I post a weekly stitch tutorial as well as a fun small project like bags, headbands, bookmarks, and decor, so don't miss out. But thank you so much again for watching, and as always, happy crocheting and stay lucky. Bye!